We are the foundation, bulletproof the hating. From the plantation, we built the whole nation. We are the foundation, bulletproof the hating. From the plantation, we built the whole nation. We are the foundation, bulletproof the hating. From the plantation, we built the whole nation. We are the foundation, bulletproof the hating. From the plantation, we built the whole nation.
Foundational family, y'all ain't gonna believe this one. The president of Ghana is demanding reparations for slavery. Yeah, I know what y'all thinking. This video is fair use, and of course, roll the footage.
And the world should not pretend that the present-day economic and social conditions of Africa have nothing to do with the historical injustices that have fashioned the structures of the world. It is time to acknowledge openly that much of Europe and the United States have been built from the vast wealth harvested from the sweat, tears, blood, and horrors of the transatlantic slave trade and the centuries of colonial exploitation. Maybe we should also admit that it cannot be easy to build confident and prosperous societies from nations that for centuries have their natural resources looted and their peoples traded as commodities. For centuries, the world has been unwilling and unable to confront the realities of the consequences of the slave trade. But gradually, this is changing, and it is time to bring the subject of reparations firmly to the fore. Granted, the current generations are not the ones that engaged in the slave trade, but that grand inhuman enterprise was state-sponsored and deliberate, and its benefits are clearly interwoven with the present-day economic architecture of the nations that designed and executed it. Reparations must be paid for the slave trade. No amount of money will ever make up for the horrors, but it would make the point that evil was perpetrated, that millions of productive Africans were snatched from the embrace of our continent and put to work in the Americas and the Caribbean without compensation for their labor. If there are any hesitations in some minds about the paying of reparations, it is worth considering the fact that when slavery was abolished, the slave owners were compensated for the loss of the slaves because the human beings were labeled as property, deemed to be commodities. Surely, this is a matter that the world must confront and can no longer ignore.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now calm down, cuzzo. Some of y'all sitting there getting hyped right now like, yo, that's what's up. Somebody with some influence. The president of Ghana is advocating for our reparations. Nah, that's not what he's saying. He's saying that the Europeans owe Ghana and West Africa reparations for the transatlantic slave trade. So basically, the slave traders are demanding reparations for slavery. Can somebody make that make sense? They voluntarily sold the slaves to the Europeans, and now they want reparations for that. Yeah, exactly. At the time, there was no such thing as the country of Ghana. There was different tribes and ethnic groups. Each tribe was its own nation, just like the Native American tribes is its own nation. He said the Europeans took millions of productive Africans. That's only half right. First of all, the Africans didn't sell other Africans. It's already confirmed and proven that the Africans sold the tribes of Israel who migrated into Africa into slavery. That's not debatable. That's what happened. But the part he did get right was those people being productive. Because those slaves that they sold into slavery produced trillions of dollars in slave production for the Europeans. And the Africans sold us into slavery for liquor bottles and umbrellas. The Africans got the short end of the stick in that deal. The Europeans pimped the Africans. They gave them umbrellas and salt shakers and a couple of muskets. And they made trillions of dollars off the slaves they took and built worldwide empires off the backs of those slaves. And then the same Europeans who bought those slaves from the Africans turned around years later and colonized the Africans. Those Europeans pimped those Africans. I'm gonna do a video on how the Africans got the short end of the stick in the transatlantic slave trade. They got liquor bottles and muskets and umbrellas, and the Europeans got trillions of dollars of production. If that ain't the biggest one-sided deal in human history, I don't know what is. And now President Umfufu, or whatever his name is trying to leech into our reparations. The Europeans don't owe Ghana a dime for the transatlantic slave trade. Now they do owe the West Africans for colonization and stealing all of their natural resources, but that's not what he's talking about. He's specifically talking about the transatlantic slave trade. And the Europeans don't owe them a dime because they voluntarily sold the slaves and they got compensated. Even though they got cheaply compensated, they were compensated. That's like me selling you my car and then coming back 5 years later talking about you owe me money for the car. No, nigga, I sold it to you. I was compensated already. Mr. President, man, the Europeans don't owe you a dime for the transatlantic slave trade. Nobody in your family was a slave in those plantations working sun up to sundown 7 days a week, making these confirmed white supremacists wealthy and powerful. That was our ancestors. The reparations go to us and not Ghana. And oh, by the way, the selling of the people that he referred to as productive caused the downfall of the West African kingdoms. They played stupid games and they won stupid prizes.
Don't forget to subscribe, Channel Raw TV, baby.